Striker 6. This is Forecast First, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
Around the Midwest this morning, we're waking up to milder conditions than what we've had this week, seeing temperatures still above freezing over towards La Crosse, and that warmer air is moving towards us, along with some clouds. We'll be seeing some chances for clouds here throughout the morning, possibly decreasing a little bit as we go later on into the evening. We'll talk more about that as 6 News This Morning continues.
WLNS is here for you with 6 News This Morning.
The ban for the popular social media app TikTok is just days away, but that could change. Good morning, Mid-Michigan. It's Friday, January 17th. I'm Jorma Duran.
And I'm Megan Maselli. Thank you so much for joining us.
6 News is here for you now with this morning's top stories. The U.S. Supreme Court could release a decision as soon as today on whether the popular social media app TikTok should be banned in the United States starting this Sunday.
And the White House just announced President Joe Biden will not enforce such a ban.
This means the fate of the popular app will be in the hands of incoming President Donald Trump, who previously called for TikTok to be banned, but lately has expressed support for the platform. In fact, the CEO of the Chinese company ByteDance, which owns TikTok, will attend Trump's inauguration on Monday. Also, U.S. senators on both sides of the aisle are pushing for the deadline of the ban to be delayed so ByteDance can sell TikTok to an American buyer. 6 News will keep you updated.
A House panel just advanced 2 bills to address minimum wage and sick leave after days of testimony from concerned business owners and tipped workers.
House Bills 4001 and 4002 were approved by the Republican-led House Select Committee on Protecting Michigan Employees and Small Businesses, meaning a full House vote on both could take place as early as next week.
Workers started raising their concerns last summer about the changes set to go into effect on February 21st. They claim the changes will drastically reduce the income of tipped workers, phase out the tipped worker system altogether, and force business owners to charge customers more.
$15 an hour after taxes is barely going to pay my mortgage. It's not going to pay for food. It's not going to pay for anything.
Workers say they hope to see this legislation pass and get the governor's signature before Michigan's minimum wage jumps at the end of next month.
A new lawsuit is filed in U.S. District Court claiming the Detroit Tigers organization failed to accurately calculate overtime pay for potentially hundreds of its hourly workers. The case was filed Tuesday in the Eastern District of Michigan Federal Court, and it seeks status as a collective action suit. If it is granted by the court, that means attempts would be made to contact all current and former hourly employees who worked for the organization during the past 3 years and allow them to opt into the case. Meanwhile, the Tigers organization says it cannot comment on the lawsuit because it has yet not received the complaint just yet.
Happening today, the city of Jackson will launch a 3-day deer harvest to help control the population. The deer harvest is happening at Ella Sharp Park. It starts tonight at 5 and runs through 5:30 tomorrow morning. Same goes for Saturday into Sunday and Sunday into Monday. City officials want community members to stay away from both the park and the golf course during these times. The city is working with the Michigan Department of Natural Resources to conduct the harvest, which is expected to cull up to 80 deer. The city will then donate the venison from the harvest to Emmanuel Lutheran Church's food pantry for distribution to the community.
A ceasefire deal has now been signed in the Middle East that'll involve hostages held by Hamas being released as early as Sunday.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the deal comes one day after his office claimed last-minute issues, which, as Jared Hill explains, have since been resolved.
This morning, an end to the brutal war between Israel and Hamas is one step closer. Overnight, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his country had finalized its ceasefire and hostage release deal with the militant group. Soon, his security cabinet will meet to approve it.
After more than 400 days of struggle, a day of success.
Still, huge blasts lit up the sky in Gaza. Dozens of Palestinians killed in Israeli strikes since the deal was first announced on Wednesday. That's according to Hamas officials. The fighting would stop under the first 6-week phase of the agreement. During that time, 33 hostages would be released in exchange for nearly 1,000 Palestinian prisoners. The deal, brokered by Qatar, Egypt, and the U.S., is expected to take effect early next week.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Udi Goren's cousin, Tal Haimi, was killed during Hamas's October 7th attack that sparked the war. He says he's worried the fragile deal could still collapse at any time.
One of our biggest concerns is that once they start negotiating part 2, they will not reach an agreement and back to war.
Yet for some displaced Palestinians, there's new hope.
Why I am so happy about the ceasefire? Because all of this are going to end. That's why I am so happy.
News of the initial agreement sparked celebration in Israel and around the world, including here in the U.S.
The ceasefire must hold.
The ceasefire deal also includes plans to surge humanitarian aid into Gaza, as world leaders push both sides to reach a permanent end to the 15-month-long war. Jared Hill, CBS News.
From Storm Tracker 6, this is Weather on the Sixes, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance. Simple human sense.
The Capitol camera shows the flag flying in the wind, which is still bringing in warmer air this morning. Compared to yesterday at this time, it looks like most spots, including Lansing, are sitting around 5 to 15 degrees warmer. And that's going to be with temperatures that are in the 20s to low 30s. Warmest spot right now is Adrian at 32. That's with a few clouds that have lingered over the area. Other spots where those clouds have cleared out overnight actually have allowed our temperatures to cool down more. Plus, this is setting the stage for some sunshine later today that'll melt away some of the snow. For Layla and Zeus, it doesn't look like they mind the snow, and honestly I don't either since I love playing in it. But for anyone who wanted to get outside without much of a risk of slipping, well, today is going to be the best day for that because the sunshine and those above freezing temperatures should make the parking lots a lot safer than what they have been this week. So if you have to head out and do anything, definitely recommend to do that today, including taking your pets out for walks. It's a green paw from the morning through the evening. Now, if you do take them outside, maybe walking on those sidewalks, keep an eye out for salt. If you have any kind of ice melt, they have pet-safe versions that won't burn their paws, unlike regular old rock salt, which you don't want to be walking on, like let alone your pets.
Yeah, for sure about that. And there's going to be a lot of that salt being poured out next week.
Well, it's interesting because it's going to be so cold it won't work.
It won't work. That's like, it gets to the point where why waste it, right?
Save your money, buy some sand.
There you go.
Sand, okay.
Personal opinion.
All right, thank you. Coming up, a lot of Detroit Lions pride right here in mid-Michigan. We'll tell you why in our What's on the Web segment.
Your time just turned 6:38. Thanks for watching 6 News This Morning.